Hello, welcome to Inspire in Half an Hour podcast. My name is Ruth Aisi. This is the second series of Inspire in Half an Hour, and in this series, I'll focus on the arts. My first guest I'm very excited about is Giacomo Pirozzi. He is a photographer and also an art curator. Giacomo's photography has taken him to over 150 countries. And his art involvement really started just before COVID. He always had a passion for art, but actually just before COVID, he launched the Tobian Art Gallery, which is situated in the heart of Florence. In this half an hour podcast, I talked to Giacomo about both his photography and his art. I first start by asking him how he got into photography.
I started very young when I was my first love has been traveling, and has been this constant in my entire life. And of course, when I was young, I was traveling with my camera, and I started, casually taking photographs, and it was the right way for me to impress in my memory and everything moments of life through my camera. And then I started to see that I had a good eye, and I was choosing the right subject and everything. And then I started to put together some of my best shots. And by showing them around to people, people who will know better than me, they started to, encourage me to continue with it. And it's something that was always, a passion, only a passion. And then it became a profession only when I started later on with UNICEF. Although before I joined UNICEF, I was doing some work, these summer jobs that you get to make some money. And I was using photography for that. But really my professional career started with UNICEF when I joined UNICEF in 1991, yes. In Abidjan, in Côte d'Ivoire, yeah.
Okay, so you said it started with your traveling. I mean, where did you go? You're originally from the southern part of Italy.
Yes.
And you're saying you started your traveling. So where did you first go? Because, I mean, the traveling you've done now is just actually incredible. So where were the first places that actually gave you that inspiration?
Yes, I remember was my trip in Morocco. When I went to Morocco, and I was very young, and I was very... impressed by the colors, the atmosphere, the smell, everything was fantastic. And then other places that I went when I was very young was India, Nepal, Thailand. Of course, I fell in love with Thailand, and now kind of, live there part-time. And I think these are the four places that really changed everything, in my life, because I felt that for me, traveling was my real passion, was something that really, yeah.
But how did you travel? Were you just sort of backpacking and finding little odd jobs while you were going to different countries? This is like sort of, was it after you had been to university or before?
Before and during and at the end of the university, always in between, when I had time and a little bit of money aside. Money you put together by doing a little job here and there, but also totally, almost like a backpacking, going to cheap hotels and, but enjoying the little money we had. Yeah, it was really fun. Yeah, and having a camera with me, that's for sure.
And you sort of learnt on the job then? You didn't ever go and study photography?
No, I've studied a bit because I did a school of journalism in Italy. When I was studying sociology, I'm a sociologist. That's what I studied in university. But then I was doing on the side also a school of journalism, and that we had a section on photography. But that was about it. For the rest, it's really something that you acquire by doing it. Yeah.
I can see there's some amazing pictures. I recognize them behind you. Can you tell us a little bit about those photos?
Well, these images are part of a collection of images and entitled Celebrating Life. And it was an exhibition we had at the Tobian Art Gallery here in Florence. And it was to celebrate my 60th birthday. And also, we had 60 images. And from really all over the world. As you know, I've been traveling in many, many countries, 150 countries.
Wow.
I started an image of a child, a newborn baby in Indonesia, and I end with an image of a woman kissing a cross in a graveyard in Romania. And then it's really through different countries, different cultures, and I show moments of happiness and also sadness And I celebrate moments of life, really. Yeah. And it's been, a beautiful collection of images, and people really have appreciated. It was also for me a nice way to introduce myself to this town. I'm living now in Florence, but it's a new thing for me. I only started 2 years ago here, and probably people here in the city, they don't know me well. And because of the COVID, we cannot really have events at the gallery. So I think this was a nice way to introduce myself to the local communities as well. Yeah.
I mean, it must have been quite a achievement to actually select 60 photos out of all the photos you've done. Now, you're saying you've been to over, you said 150 countries.
Exactly.
And so that must, I mean, in a way, how did you make that selection? Are there one or two that you knew that you had to keep in just because they meant so much to you? I mean, what was the criteria of actually selecting them?
It took me a long time, and I started by looking at files. For the let's say I was only looking at the digital images. I didn't go back to the past because otherwise it would have been a bit too long to make a proper selection. But let's say since 2004 until now, and I had to look at thousands and thousands of shots. Of course, what I was trying to do is to represent important moments of life and things that I've been witnessing around the world, and moments that were important to me. And that's the way, and of course, images that also, they were quite strongly graphically, and they will work also in black and white, because my choice was to change from color in black and white. Sometimes color is a bit destructive, and especially in an exhibition big like this, with so many colors, I felt it was going to be a little bit destructive, yeah. And so I decided to go for black and white. So I was choosing images that would translate nicely in black and white. And I think in the end we managed. It was not easy. It took us almost a month, but we end up with a lovely collection, I think.
Giacomo, could you just tell us maybe some of the stories behind some of your favorite photos? I can imagine that the photos come, from all different continents, but maybe just give us an example or a few examples of why you chose certain photos.
There are a few images that they stay with me, and they will stay with me for the rest of my life. One of the images that was also appreciated a lot here was the image of a little girl in Zimbabwe, and she's sitting on a bed with her grandfather. She was an orphan. She lost both parents because of AIDS, and she was living with a grandfather, and the grandfather was blind, and she was taking care of him, of course, and she was reading a book next to him. Actually, she was reading for him. And there's a beautiful scene, a beautiful light coming on both of them. They were both sitting, and the atmosphere is just magic. And it was so beautiful because I remember from the interview we had with the girl, how important was the father to her, was the only person. And at the same time, the grandfather was not able to take care of her, but she was taking care of him. But of course, it was very important to her that he was still there alive, next to her. And I found that I was able in the picture, to grab that sort of feeling, and the sort of, relationship between the two.
Yeah, no, it is a very powerful image. It's also one of my favorites. And what about another one that you could share with us?
Yeah, there's one, a lovely image also is in Bangladesh, in Cox's Bazar, in one of the refugee camps for the Rohingya. And there's this beautiful image of a boy and a girl, a brother and sister, and they are under the same umbrella. And it's so nice because the umbrella seems to protect both of them, and the older girl, she's protecting the little boy. And it was during the rainy season in Bangladesh, and Cox's Bazar. It's of course life in refugee camps during the rainy season is horrible, terrible. And I was there because I did also workshop with the children, some of the refugees, and also that was a beautiful moment that I was able to catch, and very tender. And I think people also have appreciated that one. But one of the things that they organized was a workshop, a photography workshop, of course, facilitated by me. And as you know, I do many workshops around the world with children. And this was one of the most powerful ones. And we did it in the camps, and the children were learning about photography, and they were able also to go around and take photographs of their conditions. And they were able to tell a little bit the story from the villages they were coming from in Myanmar. And so, as you know, I mean, I find the workshops so powerful, because you give really an opportunity to kids to, you know, to think about their own situations, and also to go out, take photographs, tell their own stories. And sometimes I always tell my colleagues that it's even more powerful than our own images as photographers, you know? Because they come, it's their own lives. And
yes. No, I remember them. Yeah. After they had taken those photos, were they put into some sort of exhibition? How were the photos used?
Yeah, one of the ways, you know, sometimes we do photo essays that they are published they're uploaded by UNICEF on their websites, of course, Facebook, all these social media. But of course, I like also to prepare traveling exhibitions. They're mobile exhibitions that can be taken around. And it's also nice that the exhibition, they go back in their own communities, you know, so that the kids are there. But also we have done exhibitions that have been presented in big conferences around the world. And as I said, I mean, the latest one I've done was, you know, on climate change and all that. It was in the cities, big cities in Asia, like Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia, Surabaya in Indonesia, or Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam, where the problem is huge, and children have to live in cities that are not really friendly for them. And also that came out in a very powerful exhibition that we took to Germany for one of these conferences. So it's nice that we can translate and send the message around in different ways. And I always say also that if I put together the images collected in so many workshops, we've done almost 70 workshops around the world. It would be a beautiful application that at some point I really would love to do.
Yeah, that's amazing. No, I've witnessed you doing these workshops, and they are incredible. On average, they last like a week. And one of the things that, you know, during that week, not only are the children learning an amazing skill, and they really produce such, you know, beautiful photos, powerful photos, as you say. But I also, you know, was so impressed by the rapport that you develop with the children, and how there's a sort of a special relationship, and you manage to get them to be passionate as well about photography in the way you're passionate about photography.
So some of them seriously, they continued photography.
Yes.
That's beautiful. And I'm still in touch with many of the, you know, let's say the children, and now sometimes they're not children anymore.
Well, yes.
Yeah, but we're still in touch. We write each other. Sometimes I was able to meet them again.
Just to go back to the 2 years when, with the COVID pandemic, you found this art gallery, Tobian Art Gallery, and the minute you launched it, there was the lockdown. Exactly. And that was just sort of incredible, the fact that you managed to have faith and keep it going during a time when, you know, you were having high rents for the gallery. And maybe first of all, tell us how you got into the art gallery. Why did you want to start up an art gallery?
A little bit the dream that I had for many, many years. And then I thought, when I don't want to travel as much with my photo coverage, my work with UNICEF, I want to settle a little bit. And I don't see myself sitting at home and doing nothing. So, and because I like art, and I've been collecting, as you know, I've been collecting art in so many parts of the world, and I met so many artists, and I have so many artist friends. I felt there was a beautiful way, you know, a nice project to start. And my idea, because I've never been, and I will never be a professional art dealer, so my interest is not really to make money by selling art, but creating a nice cultural exchange. And also because I have all these international connections with so many artists from around the world, being based here in Italy, especially in a community like Florence, where there are so many international people coming, I felt it was the right space, the right place to do this, you know, to have a space in which we can invite artists coming especially young artists coming from different parts of the world, and have this sort of exchange with young people who study art here, and not only with that, with the local community as well, and try to bring a bit of other cultures. Sometimes, as you know, in Europe we live a little bit with cliche about this culture or this other one, and it's nice to break some of that and art has no boundaries and is able to communicate with everyone. Yeah, and I think that's very powerful. And of course, we started, and then we immediately had this full lockdown. As you know, Italy was after China was the first country totally, hit by COVID. It was not easy at the beginning, and I was a little bit desperate. I said, "What have I done?" But slowly, and by publishing also things on social media, I was able to start to sell some of my art to also friends around the world, and this was a big help for me. I was able to continue paying the rent and everything. And then when we started to open up a little bit, I started with solo exhibitions, events, and up to now we're here, and things are looking much better now. Yeah, so that's it. So, but at the same time, because I couldn't travel for my work with UNICEF, I had time to, really dedicate at the gallery here to learn more about how to manage. There's a lot of admin, a lot of other things that one has to learn, and so I spent these 2 years really dedicating almost full time to the art gallery, and I'm happy, and I'm happy that it's working. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a very beautiful gallery, and in a very amazing setting as well, right in the heart of Florence. And it really is quite you've laid it out really well, and it's very impressive. Also, I remember that you had, when I was there recently, I saw very beautiful sculptures from a Ukrainian sculptor. Can you tell us a little bit how you made contact with this Ukrainian sculptor?
In this case, we have an intern here, Luca. He was studying in Florence art management from the business side, and then he spent some time with us, and he put us in touch also with his father. He's also an artist, and then with Ludmila, that she's the artist that you're referring to, and he was showing me some of her work, and this was before the beginning of the war, and so I find her work very poetic, and also they convey a message of peace. The exhibition was actually entitled Together, and I felt that her sculptures with my black and white photography was a beautiful combination. So this was before the war started, and we felt we wanted to invite her for this. And then when we were in the process of organizing the event, the war started in Ukraine. But, we didn't want to give up. And so she was able to pack everything despite the situation, and to send her sculptures through Poland.
And are you in touch with her regularly and giving her feedback on?
She's very happy to see her work displayed here in this gallery. And we started a beautiful collaboration. We hope to continue with that, of course. Yeah.
And she's safe?
She's okay. Yeah, she's
safe. Yeah. No, that's incredible. What is your sort of vision now for the future? What are the things you're going to actually be prioritizing over the next few years?
I would like to continue a little bit, as I said, my work with UNICEF because of the workshops. This is something that I really would like to do, but something that also I would love to do in the gallery as well, with different, of course, objectives. It's different goals, but that's the idea. I think that I've been, at my age at this point, it's nice to give back in different ways. And I think through the gallery and both with my workshops, I can continue, teaching. I like that. And I think actually, even with you, it'd be nice to do
that. Oh, yes. I always enjoy our workshops that we do together. And it's,
And also gallery, now we had a young a social media manager, Said Nassim, who is also a photographer, graphic artist. He's actually from Uzbekistan. He's one of the young boys who was in one of my workshops, and now I became a big star in Uzbekistan. And he's also an influencer and all that. And he gave us so many ideas, so now we can develop that as well and kind of organize workshops starting from the gallery, involving students that are present here in Florence. And also inviting artists from different countries to do residencies for artists. You see, one of the things I would love to do is, for instance, to have a group of artists that come from different parts of the world.
Yes.
Especially Africa, because sometimes they don't have the same opportunities.
Yes.
Then spend 2-3 months here. As you know, I have also a place in the countryside where they can sit, produce art, and then as an outcome, it will be beautiful to have exhibitions here in the gallery. So. And so, of course, during the period that they are going to be here, they will be coached by an artist who can follow them and all that. So these kind of things I would love to do.
Oh, yeah, it'd be fantastic. No, it really is. That's very exciting. Wow, that's amazing. And then, I mean, you've achieved so much, and it is just incredible how you have managed to follow your dreams and your passions. What sort of advice would you give to people today who are sort of starting out either in the art world or as a photographer? Because it's different now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is different, but the strength comes from the passion, I think. And if you don't give up on that, in the end, you achieve what you want. I think your example, your life has been the same, I think, no? That sometimes we have been giving up, a fixed, salary or job and everything to follow our dream and our passion, to our also freedom, no? To do.
Yes, yeah.
Work with different projects, different things, and in the end we are happy with what we achieved. And I think this we don't have to lose. We don't have to. We have to try to be, always follow our heart and our passion. And I think that's the only way to. Because it's also the way to succeed. I mean, for me, it's only when you do something that you love, in the end you succeed. Yeah, there's no frustration in that. Yeah.
That's great, Giacomo. Thank you so much. That's so inspirational. And, I agree wholeheartedly with what you're saying. And it's just been a pleasure having you on Inspire in Half an Hour podcast. Thank you.
Thank you so much.